So something you should probably know about our mission is that there's a lot of immigration. I flew over 60 times on my mission, and like I have 66 stamps on my passport, and I've only gone to my mission, like nowhere else. We left at like 3 o'clock in the morning from the MTC, and it says if you're flying to Trinidad, you need two things. You either need your work permit, which should be stamped or stapled into your passport, or you should have a flight itinerary showing that you are leaving Trinidad to your next assignment. So you're able to get in the country. And I had neither. And so, and the other missionaries, they all had their way to get out except for me. So I was kind of worried about that. Trinidad, you do need a work permit to serve as a missionary there. And so when I got there, we were flying there, and I'd never left the country before. Like, I was like, what's customs? Like, what is this? And we're just standing in line, and we're like freaking out because we're like, wow, look, like commercials from other countries. And I get up there, and she like asked for my paperwork, and I just tell her, well, I'm just going to be here for a while. She asked, how long are you going to be staying? Well, possibly. And I said, well, possibly 2 years. By the way, don't say that. Please do not say that. And she's like, where's your work permit? And so I show her the little thing that Thomas S. Monson had signed saying that I could be a missionary. She's like, that's not it. So she asked for a flight itinerary out, and I'm like, well, I don't have one. She's like, what if you never return home? And that kind of like freaked me out because I'm like, the MTC has sent me all the way here without the proper documentation to get into the country. Like, are you serious? And I say, well, I know that God has a plan for me and that everything will work out. And she just kind of like looked at me and looked a little strange. People from Trinidad have an interesting accent, and so according to my mission president, it was actually a miracle that night that I could understand her the first time, and it actually was, because most other Trinidadians, I didn't understand them for the first couple weeks. It's a very interesting, the closest thing would probably be to is like kind of like a different version of a British accent, but very, very thick. And so as I just handed her everything, like, this is all I have, and I had like my mission president's phone number. So she called, and Mission President's wife picked up Sister Egbert. She's like, well, we're expecting 6 missionaries tonight, and they should all come through immigration just fine. And the immigration worker said, well, how long will he be here? And so, inspired from the Lord, my Mission President's wife, Sister Egbert, she said, well, we're planning on getting them trained for 2 days of orientation, and they're getting shipped off to their companions. So because she said shipped off, the woman automatically assumed that I'd be leaving pretty soon. I actually stayed in Trinidad, my first transfer. And so she gave me 90 days, and she let me go through. Of course, then we all walk out, and other missionaries, they all had their flight itineraries except for one, and so they all didn't have any problems. They got through, and we met our mission president, and it was my mission president's first time picking up, and he's like, hi, I'm your mission president, I'm President Egbert. It was so humid. I thought it was raining. And I walk out, and no, it wasn't raining. It was just so humid that all the windows were fogged up. And we hop in the van. It's very late. It's like 11 o'clock at night. And so 3 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night. So get ready when you're going to go to the mission. It's going to be a while. We go to the mission home. We were fed by Sister Egbert. And the mission home is not large enough to occupy all of the missionaries coming in. So there's a few kind of bed and breakfasts that are near that we stayed at. The next morning you wake up, and there's activities, and but one of the things that they sometimes do, depending on what time you come in and what time you have to fly out to your new area, they try and Skype you with your new trainer. I Skyped my trainer, and then after you Skype with your trainer, you find out where you're going. So I was staying in Trinidad my first 6 weeks, and so it turns out the first night where I stayed, he actually slept next door to me in the next apartment over. So that was kind of funny. So I met him, and that's when like really I started in the field. My first day I was actually in the office, and I stayed in the office my transfer in Trinidad.